So if I give you 3 segments, can they always form a triangle?
Yes.
No matter what 3 segments they are? No?
I guess it's really all parallel.
Well, they're segments, so they can move around, right?
Yeah.
So any 3 lengths of segments can form a triangle?
Yeah.
What if I have this one that's 100 miles long, this one that's 1 foot, and this one that's 3 feet? That's not going to be a triangle, is it? Why not? They can't reach, right? So what has to be the relationship among the 3 legs in a triangle to make it work? 180 is what we get with the angles. We're talking about the side lengths. Do these look like they're going to be long enough? And if they're not long enough, what happens is they fall short, right? They would collapse down and they wouldn't touch. And so I wouldn't have a triangle. I just have 3 segments kind of overlapping a little bit. But if this is side A and this is side B and this is side C, sorry, what do I hope is going to happen here in order to make it a triangle? Equal C? Greater than, right? Because if they equal C, then they collapse on top of themselves and they just become like 2 straight lines. So as long as the 2 smaller sides are bigger than the biggest side, it makes a triangle. So let's do this. If sum of 2 smaller sides greater than largest. Let's do if then a triangle. If the sum of the 2 smaller sides is greater than the largest, then it's a triangle. So for instance, in problem number 1, we'd take the 2 smaller sides, 8 plus 17, and we want to make sure that it's bigger than the largest side. What is 8 plus 17? 25. And is that greater than 24? It is. Therefore, does this make a triangle? Yes, it does. What about number 2? 3 plus 3 is supposed to be greater than 7. Is 6 greater than 7? So no, not a triangle. What about number 5? They're both 50, but this sign says that it has to be greater than. Is 50 greater than 50? No. That's going to end up just being a straight line. It's not going to be a triangle. Any questions on whether 3 sides form a triangle? Okay, let's notch that up just a minute. What if I know 2 of the sides, 14 and 22? What possible values could I have for the 3rd side? Greater than 36. What do you mean? The 3rd side has to be bigger than 36. So if I had like 14, less than 36, right? Because if I had a number here that was bigger than 36, these 2 wouldn't add up to be greater than it. So I could have like 35 or 34, 33, 32, all the way down to 0. Piper? Okay, so there's 2 scenarios. One scenario is where this missing side is our biggest side. In which case, Kiki's exactly right. It can't be as big as these 2 added together. But what if it's not the biggest side? What if it's like 14 and then this unknown side and then 22? So the 22 is the biggest side. So what could be in here? Could 17 work in here? Because 14 plus 17 would make 21, right? In other words, we want to make sure that 14 plus the unknown, sorry, 31. 14 plus X is greater than 22. So X should be greater than what? X should be greater than 8. And in this case, what we found is that if this is Y, we want 14 plus 22 to be greater than Y, right? So now let's do that again with variables. Let's say that we've got side lengths of A, B, and X. We know X is the biggest one. Then we know that A plus B has to be greater than X, right? So that's one of our inequalities we want. But now we're going to say that X is not the biggest one. Let's say that A is the biggest one. It's greater than A, but we want to solve for X. So we'd say X is greater than A minus B, the difference. So if we want to combine these two, what we're going to do is put X in the middle. And we're going to say X is smaller than A plus B, but at the same time greater than A minus B. This is our formula. If we have sides A, B, and X is the third side, the unknown side, then the formula says that X is going to be smaller than A plus B and greater than A minus B, but let's put absolute values on that so it can be either one is the bigger one. So for the third side here, it's always going to look like that. What's going to go over here? Yep, 14 plus 22, which would be 36. What's going to go over here? Their difference, 22 minus 14 is 8. X is going to be between 8 and 36. That's how you answer that question. This is the range of values that would work. Any value greater than 8, but less than 36.
How do you know it's 8 plus that?
So let's try with 11. What would you get? X is pinched between what two values? Eight and 14, right?
It's 8 plus 11.
Say again?
It's 8 times 11.
Yeah. You subtract them and put the smaller answer here. And you add them, put that bigger answer over here on the right, and that's it. Try number 13, please.
Solve for X.
We are solving for X. There's many values of X that will work. It's not a single value. So X can work for any number between what two values here? 17 and 31. So could the third side be 18? Is that between 17 and 31? Yeah. Could the third side be 19? Could the third side be 50? No. Could the third side be 12? No. So let's do it down here now. Number 15 is asking us to do that kind of question. There's two ways I could approach this. I could say this is the biggest side, if these three were involved. Is 15 plus 27 greater than 37? And do it one at a time. But the faster way is to say that this third side is going to be pinched between what two values?
42 and 12.
Good. 12 to 42. So is 34 between 12 and 42? Yep, so that works. Is 12 between 12 and 42?
Yeah.
It's not equal to it though. Remember, it's supposed to be greater than 12, so it's not going to include 12. How about 29? How about 18? How about 43? No. Any questions on this?
What about other things that I do if you-
Yep. X is always going to be pinched between a less than on this side and a greater than on this side. Other way around, greater than and less than. All right. Here's one of my favorite stories. I grew up watching cartoons on Saturday morning. And one of my favorites was always like one of those caveman-y films or cartoons, right? Where there's a caveman and he lives in this cave. And he steps out in the morning and he looks out over here over the beautiful world and says, everything is great. I love my world, except the way he says that is, right? And then suddenly out of nowhere, a big dinosaur comes up. And he's about to chomp on this guy. What does the guy do to save himself? You've all watched this cartoon in some form.
Goes back.
He grabs a stick and he puts it in the guy's mouth. And now the dinosaur's like, and he goes away, right? And there's no dinosaur eating the caveman. Now, here's the point. If this dinosaur's mouth is really big, then you put a big stick in it. If the dinosaur's mouth is narrower, then he has to put a narrower stick in it, doesn't he? So here's how this applies to geometry. If I tell you that this is 100 degrees, and this is 50 degrees, and this is 30 degrees. A, B, C. If this is the mouth of the dinosaur, that's a pretty small angle. Therefore, the stick that holds that open would be the smallest stick. In other words, AB is the smallest side of this triangle. And since B is the biggest angle, what do we know about AC? It's the largest side. And if this is the medium, if this is the mediumest angle, what do we know about this side? It's the mediumist. Patent pending on that new word. So the smallest angle is always opposite the smallest side. The largest angle is always opposite the largest side. So in this picture, order the angles of ABC from least to greatest. So which is the smallest side? This is the smallest side. Therefore, this A would be the smallest angle. 10 is the mediumest side. So C would be the mediumest angle. It's the mouth that's facing this stick. And then the largest would be angle B. Any questions on that? Same works the other way. The smallest side is always opposite the smallest angle. And the largest side is always opposite the largest angle. So before I can do this, I better find the third angle. How do I find that third angle? So in this case, F is 35 degrees. So I'm looking to do the side lengths from least to greatest. So what would be the smallest side? This is the smallest angle. So ED would be the side that's facing it. This is the mediumest angle. So this is a stick in the mouth, DF. This is the biggest angle. So EF is going to be the biggest stick. All right. I am now going to open up a quiz that's going to ask you to do problems just like these. When you finish these, you may use this as notes. When you finish this, you may finish this document as your notes for the day, or homework for the day, for the week, and then you get to go off on break and enjoy it. If you want to finish the prior quizzes, you may do that as well.